I'm Senka Anastasova, university professor, political philosopher, and cultural theorist. Thank you to Lokomotiva for inviting me to open some current questions regarding pandemic times. When you ask me what does it mean solidarity for me, I think that radical times need to open radical categories. So when I talk about solidarity today, I would be happy to talk related to radical recovery, radical justice, radical care at global level of existence and resistance. Since nothing is the same after this pandemic and human, social, economic, huge suffering, Black Lives Matter issues where we find actually the basic for radical cultural studies and post-colonial questions from different point of discussions today from the perspective of time of huge public health crisis. So in this sense, of course, it's different when we talk in context of the United States instead of some southeastern European countries. But what I find very important to open this discussion with is focus on redistribution of the financial resources by the state. When I'm saying the state, I think state as mechanism and the role of the local government into dealing with social justice economics issues that would work actually for common people at equal level and sensing of social justice issues, of course. So in the middle of the concept of solidarity, I wish to talk about possibilities of solidarity as stretched category, somewhere in between respect, defend, and fighting for everyone else's freedom and difference. So in that sense, what's radical actually here is how it works in more specific, in more dramatic circumstances and transformative conditions of building policies into different societies and systems. Here we come at the most important question: life instead of capital, life instead of profit in times of crisis. So when you ask me about where's the art and culture here, I would like to open a discussion regarding where is the human and knowledge production here in times of crisis, or something that is related to something that Ruth Wilson Gilmore in Geographies of Racial Capitalism speaks about liberation struggle. So what's liberation struggle now is actually focus on the needs and people, where they are and how they deal with circumstances of crisis. And actually the focus is on organization and building institutions that would work for people at equal level and building policies that would be at the same level protective into dealing with this crisis. So again, we come to the idea of social development and how to be reactive into times of crisis while we want to open proactive discussion about redistribution in society and building institutions that would be focused on human questions instead of policy and economy. So in that sense, of course, when you ask me what battle is now when we are in front of losing of an income and a discussion about precarious workers, of course, that I would be more interested to talk about the same battle because this is the same battle against capitalist conditions that are set up to fail, against the practices of exploitation, because no return to normal. That normal was sick. Now we have to find a way to take an action and to be an active part of reorganization into society. And of course, we have to be aware that in this we are dealing with hegemonic spaces, because on one side we have spaces of power instead of austerity measures, and somewhere in between we talk about questions like essential workers and conditions of working, or something that Marxist feminist philosophers want to be more aware about social reproduction theory, and now even more important in times of crisis. So when you ask me how all this reflects to our conditions of living and work, of course, nothing is the same. We are part of a bigger digital economic system now. I've been invited a few days ago at a Global Cultural Studies Association meeting, annual meeting in the United States. We opened discussion about dealing with high technology systems, feelings, cultural politics, and online culture today. So of course, we are aware that opening this discussion about public health and public goods, and also high technology subjects, while we are part of live streaming processes and this talk, we have to be aware that we are still in a battle of defending this freedom of speech, freedom of expression, into the same battle against capitalism, because we as digital extended bodies at this moment are part of someone else rooms of control of our bodies, and we have to be aware about that. And at the highest level, to take a part into action of resistance and critical thinking. Thank you for having me today.